presentation title is shown: Reframe, Rename, Reclaim, a participatory approach to recruiting child welfare workers. The speaker is identified on screen as Justin Miller, University of Kentucky College of Social Work, he, him, his.
You know, there are few things certain in life. I guess, according to Ben Franklin, death and taxes should come to mind. And I guess anyone who flies a kite in a thunderstorm and helps to write the Declaration of Independence and Constitution would know about both. Death and taxes, that is. But over the course of my life, I've come to know another certainty. No one in life has ever grown up with the grandiose dreams of being a CPS worker. I mean, a firefighter? Sure. Teacher? Maybe. Astronaut, race car driver, pediatrician, definitely. But never has a young person told me that they wanted to grow up and work for CPS. It's just not a thing until it is. Let me tell you a story. My home life was difficult. My mother died when I was young. My father struggled with substance misuse. Substance misuse led to neglect. Neglect was compounded by abuse. And abuse led me to being placed in a foster home. It was an experience I wouldn't wish on anyone. It was a social worker who stepped in to help. One day in 3rd grade,
"Can we get Jay to the office, please?"
Being called to the office wasn't new for me. My grandmother, who I spent a lot of time with, inoculated me to a strong sense of self. As a result, I was a pretty self-assured kid. That said, I was also somewhat mischievous. I was familiar with the principal's office, and the principal's office was pretty familiar with me. As the quintessential wannabe cool kid, I played it like I had everything under control and like I knew exactly what was happening. But the truth is, I didn't have a clue why I was being called to the office. I took my time making my way through the hallways, passing Mr. Paul, the school janitor, and then my friend Tim.
Did you get in trouble?
I finally arrived at the main office where I was greeted by the school receptionist, Mrs. Green.
Honey, a lady would like to talk to you for just a few minutes.
She led me to a room where a woman was sitting at the conference table. Under her folded hands was a manila folder. She introduced herself to me and told me why she came to see me. She was a social worker from Child Protective Services. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do recall having so much I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell her how abusive my father was, how he would leave and be gone for days on end, how I was left to care for my younger siblings, and how I was really, really scared. But I couldn't. I didn't feel I had the space to share that stuff, and quite honestly, it didn't seem like she was interested in hearing it. So I went back to Miss Pro's class, and it was that day that I made a plan. I decided that I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to do all the things and ask all the questions I wish she had. I wanted to help kids. I wanted to provide comfort. And ultimately, I wanted them to not be scared. The years following that visit can be described in 2 ways: tough and tougher. I was removed from my home and placed in foster care. To be honest, I didn't fully appreciate the visit that day. I guess no 9-year-old could fully appreciate a life-altering encounter at the time it happens. But in hindsight, I know one thing to be true. That CPS worker saved my life. The desire to become a social worker stuck with me into college. When it came time to pick my major, there was no question. Social work was it. After graduation, I applied for one job. That job was with Child Protective Services. Of course, my experiences and motivations were somewhat unique. But because most people don't typically grow up dreaming of a rock star type career in child welfare, we, that is the collective we, must go find workers. We must actively recruit workers. This presentation explores CW Prep, which is an innovative child welfare workforce development system. CW Prep is comprised of a multi-stage service and support element and is structured to be attentive to 3 distinct yet interconnected stakeholder verticals. The goal of CW Prep is profoundly simple. It's to foster an unparalleled pathway for recruiting, supporting, and retaining a vibrant, dynamic public child welfare workforce. Participants who engage in this presentation will appreciate the potential of emerging market-based approaches for recruiting and retaining child welfare workers. Understand the potential technology solutions for engaging the child welfare workforce and prospects. And garner strategies for assessing the impact of employee recruitment and retention initiatives in general and those used by CW Prep explicitly. Child welfare work has a perception problem. When I say child welfare, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Without question, being a child welfare worker is challenging. Poor perceptions of the work, high-profile system failures, and anachronistic recruitment models have contributed to these difficulties. Moreover, child welfare workers, particularly those employed in public sectors, may be disproportionately impacted by bureaucratic processes and community resource restrictions. As a result, child welfare workers experience compassion fatigue, secondary traumatic stress, and professional burnout. All told, it is possible, if not probable, that these inimical employment circumstances impact not only those currently employed in child welfare, but negatively influence perceptions of those who might potentially enter the field. Ultimately, an underdeveloped workforce will negatively impact the children, families, and communities that the workforce is supposed to serve. Negative impact notwithstanding, there's growing consensus about the need to innovate in child welfare practice spaces. However, technology uptake in child welfare has been extremely slow. Market-informed, scalable models that adapt to contemporary work and labor markets are few. Market-responsive workforce development programs are needed to assuage the challenges in the current workforce landscape.
Jay, tell us about the concept for CW Prep. How'd you come up with that?
So, funny story. I'm sitting at the kitchen table one day, typing up something. It was related to child welfare because I remember being in the child welfare mindset and heard a very familiar voice.
Hi Jay, is it time for me to order you some more bread?
Asking me if I needed bread. Of course, it was Alexa. It kind of struck me in the moment that to ask myself, like, I wonder if I do need bread. And it seems kind of silly. I get up and I go look, and lo and behold, I needed bread. And as I sat down and kind of started to type back on whatever thing I was working on, I started to ask myself, like, if Alexa can know what I need before I need it, and the technology's there to do those things, why don't we apply that technology to a more integrated, robust recruitment apparatus around child welfare? Like, why don't we use that to benefit the work that we're trying to do? If we applied the same energy to selling shoes and such as we did to trying to recruit child welfare workers, I think we'd be in a much different place. So it was that day that I kind of got into the space to realize that we're going to try to do this differently. And I've joked with the team, it's kind of this Alexa model of being able to assess things that are going to happen before they happen, or anticipate at least need and response in the marketplace, and then get to a spot where we're able to respond to those and not just react to those. So I know it's funny to think about the impetus for CW Prep being bread at the kitchen table, but that's really what it is, bread at the kitchen table.
Talk a bit about the foundational values for CW Prep.
In terms of like the strategic value themes, I think it's really important. I talk about these 3 I's. Innovation being the first one, getting into a creative space to innovate and think about things differently. Second is integration. Like, how do we think about what we're currently doing, how that reframes and changes but then also how we integrate new things into that. So we want to acknowledge and recognize that there are pieces that can work. The personal narratives and outreach can work, but we need to think about how we can integrate new technologies into moving forward. And then at the end of the day, investment. We have to know and understand that the digital and market-based infrastructure is just as important as the physical landscapes that we build in different places, and we gotta invest in them. And so if we can innovate, integrate, and invest, I really believe that we'll be able to move forward this concept of child welfare recruitment and retention.
The screen informs the viewer that the video is the CW Prep Kentucky launch trailer.
Life is a journey of choices. Sometimes choices seem small, inconsequential. Other times choices can feel overwhelmingly large, but even the tiniest decision can set off a chain reaction, revealing new horizons. Doors can suddenly open. Opportunities will present themselves, and all it takes is a choice. This is CW Prep, a transformative career preparation program that creates opportunities for you to thrive in a career making a difference for Kentucky's children and families. Through tuition and financial stipends, cutting-edge training, and unparalleled academic and professional supports, CW Prep will engage, equip, and empower you to positively impact countless lives as a public child welfare worker. We'll provide you with everything you need to become an agent of change, to make a difference, to succeed. We're ready to help you find a purpose for your passion. The courage to make the choice is yours.
CW Prep embraces an orienting philosophy designed to expand traditional concepts of child welfare recruitment, retention, and engagement. That philosophy is encapsulated in 3 foundational concepts. The first is Reframe. Current perceptions of public child welfare are limited at best and downright wrong at worst. CW Prep seeks to reframe the purpose and importance of child welfare work in general and those doing the work more specifically. The second is Rename. Social services must pivot to contemporary engagement strategies that clearly, coherently, and comprehensively communicate to target audiences. CW Prep leverages emerging technologies to cultivate a robust, comprehensive, market-friendly experience. And lastly, Reclaim. Child welfare work is vital to a well-functioning society. Every day, child welfare workers save lives. CW Prep seeks to reclaim that narrative and in so doing, expand the appeal of public child welfare work.
The screen informs the viewer that this video is study footage taken from the 2024 CW Prep Retreat.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Limas Guerrero, and I'm from Eastern Kentucky University. I love this program because of the opportunity that has given me with my practicums and my professors. It has really helped me build up my confidence. Not everybody has the same calling, but I love child welfare work.
My name is Sierra, and I go to the University of Kentucky. This program, it has honestly changed my life because I finally found a passion, and it was child welfare.
Program priorities. To foster synergistic continuity, congruence, and cohesiveness across program elements, CW Prep is intentional about conceptualizing a shared vision for advancing the public child welfare space. That vision is rooted in clearly articulated priorities. Priority 1, foster an unparalleled continuum of engagement and support to program participants. Priority 2, build an integrated infrastructure for operations. Priority 3, engage in participatory processes for planning and evaluation. The CW Prep infrastructure centers on an integrative, multifaceted technology stack designed around what we call the CW Support Core. This core demarcates unique elements germane to supporting CW Prep stakeholders in a consistent and creative way. no matter their institutional affiliation, jurisdiction, or geographical location. The support core is comprised of 8 seminal components: asset development, technology ecosystem, communication and marketing, recruiting and engagement, curriculum and pedagogy, regulation and policy, instructional design, and constituent services.
CW Prep is designed to be scalable, which enables seamless expansion across sites, institutions, and the like. Moreover, CW Prep adheres to a program model that uniquely blends dynamic sustainability and quality implementation frameworks. This approach ensures that program elements are adaptable and can account for various contexts, geographic and otherwise. CW Prep Support Core more specifically utilizes an expansive hub and spoke model for service engagement. That is, program components are housed within a central hub, and services, supports, and resources are deployed where and when needed. Because of this central support model, stakeholders experience efficient service delivery, comprehensive and consistent support, and seamless integration. CW Prep utilizes an operational management scheme that includes 5 key areas: evaluation, resource logistics, quality assurance and fidelity, fiscal management, and partnership engagement. These areas, singularly and collectively, contribute to program efficacy and efficiency.
Participatory stakeholder engagement. Workforce development, no matter the context, requires a holistic participatory response, inclusive of an array of stakeholders. That in mind, CW Prep entails 3 distinct yet interconnected stakeholder verticals: participant, agency, and academic institution. These verticals not only offer structure for responsive service delivery, but assist in identifying common or complementary service needs across the verticals. Said another way, these verticals ensure that the program meets the unique and collective needs of all stakeholders germane to the child welfare workforce development activities. In general, research about workforce recruitment underscores the importance of unique participant engagement. In CW Prep, this engagement is rooted in 3 main concepts: market-informed interactions, responsive engagement practices, and comprehensive service supports. Market-informed interactions. CW Prep stakeholder interaction strategies are based on evidence-informed practices and adaptive response systems. Leveraging real-time analytics and iterative algorithms, CW Prep deploys a sophisticated communication automation consistent with stakeholder preferences. This approach prioritizes 5 key elements: market research, asset development, prospect cycle identification, iterative dynamic journey concept, and an assess, report, and refine element. Responsive engagement practices. Stakeholder interaction begets engagement, or at least it should. Different from interactions, engagements denote how involved a stakeholder is with and how meaningful they find content. To foster stakeholder engagement, CW Prep utilizes a strengths-based approach codified via an alliterative E framework. We engage stakeholders in a way that is proactive, reflective, and sustained. We empower stakeholders to be vested partners in their career journey. We energize stakeholders to understand and appreciate the power and impact of public child welfare work. We encourage stakeholders to explore opportunities with an open mind. CW Prep evolves as we learn more about public child welfare. So at the end of the day, CW Prep and programs like it have a profound purpose, and that purpose is not lost on us. We know that what we choose to do is going to impact the well-being of children and families and communities moving forward. And that's not something that any of us should take lightly. So if it requires innovating, that's what we should do. If it requires investment, that's what we should do. And as far as CW Prep goes, we really want to continue to reframe and think differently about how we engage child welfare prospects and also how we support existing child welfare workers. We quickly shifted into this participatory process whereby we really sought to understand how to best communicate and engage with child welfare worker prospects. And it was a real learning experience. That some of the things that we thought would work just didn't. And I often say the biggest difference between people, it's not race and not gender, it's generational. And if you're thinking about the future of a workforce, well, then you have to think like the future of the workforce. And so that meant we got into social media arenas in a way that we had not before. We began to think about algorithmic communicative deployments in a way that we had not before. And we were able to put together a sequence of communications and programmatic initiatives that resonated with potential child welfare workers. And we've seen it make a difference in terms of interest and number of people applying to the program. And what that means is that ultimately we'll be able to put more people in the child welfare workforce.
Screen reads a midday message using the CWVE 2024 Leadership Tool.
Good afternoon, everyone. Brina Williams here.
The speaker is identified on screen as Brina Williams, Capacity Building Center for States, they, them.
My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a young adult consultant for the Capacity Building Center for States. I hope you've all been enjoying today's exciting sessions. We just wanted to take a few moments to remind you all of the Center's leadership tool. If you haven't downloaded it already, the tool is a fillable PDF and includes a leadership self-assessment, space to take notes during the sessions, and reflection questions for post-conference discussion. As you participate in today's workshops, use the worksheet to take notes about your strengths, challenges, and opportunities related to transformational leadership. Reflecting on my leadership style, I see myself as a servant leader. I center my lived experience and the lived experiences of others in all the work that I do, as I have just as much to learn from those I serve as they do from me. I hope to use my lived experience to develop other emerging leaders and advocates passionate about helping people and changing things.
Hey there, it's Waiwana again.
The speaker is identified on screen as Waiwana Montgomery, Capacity Building Center for States, she, her, hers.
Like Brina, I am definitely a servant leader as well, who believes in rolling up my sleeves and working alongside those I am leading. I am also a leader who seeks to gain the insight or input of others on my team, because I realize I don't know everything and others have valuable thoughts and ideas too. The feedback from my team informs the decisions I make. However, I am not afraid to use more authority and make an executive decision when needed, because ultimately, I want to do what is best for my organization and to further the mission to help those we serve. I believe my leadership style may differ from others because I allow those I'm leading to step up and use their personal strengths and expertise to fill in my skill and knowledge gaps. I want to hear from the variety of voices around the table, so to speak, not just my own when making important decisions. Also, I'm not afraid to mentor someone else to take my position one day, because seamless succession should be the goal where your team or organization can still stand and move forward should you leave or move into a different role. Thank you for hanging out and learning with us thus far. Enjoy the rest of the expo.
Text on screen reads, this video was developed for the Child Welfare Virtual Expo by the Capacity Building Center for States and is sponsored by the Children's Bureau. Its content does not necessarily reflect the views and policies of the Children's Bureau.